So, what if the way you show up on the outside is limiting the way you are leading and also limiting the opportunities you're attracting? Maybe you've worked hard to build your influence, but maybe your style is not quite reflecting the powerhouse leader that you are. Well, today we are going to be crossing an intersection of confidence, our personal style, and leadership with my guest, Nina Fountain. She is the executive stylist. And she's not just about fashion, okay? She helps high level women step into their full potential by aligning their style with their success. And if you've ever wondered how your image impacts your career or how it impacts your confidence, definitely the way you are perceived, well, this episode is for you because the way you present yourself can open doors to bigger opportunities or, quite frankly, slam them shut. Nina's journey
True.
is incredible, and she was already a management consultant when she was asked to give a workshop on personal style. Why? Well, because she was the most stylish person that they knew. And that was the moment that she realized she'd already spent 10,000 hours studying style across the globe. She'd been in London and Paris and New York and beyond. But now she has developed her own and she's built this style gorgeous. She's become a certified personal stylist. She's delivered keynotes. She's been on national TV. Well, she's here to show us, me especially, how aligning your style with your success isn't about trends. It's about stepping fully into your power and presence so you can lead stronger, longer. Nina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for the incredible introduction. I
Yeah.
just love how you've pulled these concepts together and you've absolutely nailed it.
Yay. I'm super excited because every time I watch you and I see you in our executive meetings, there's just an essence about you that's it's very welcoming and it's very much you want to be there with you. And I
That-
try to do that, but I know that my style is definitely eclectic and I don't really have a style. So I want to learn from you and I want to discover how not only for myself, these are all selfish when I bring guests on.
Oh, it's the best way to have a
Right?
conversation because you're
Exactly.
thinking it's what other people are thinking. Absolutely.
Right, but I know that so many are going to get benefit from this as well. So let's start off. My favorite way of starting off the show is always where you will share your favorite mantra or your guiding principle or something that's just your like North Star.
Do you know my North Star really is that who I am and who we are, because I think both in terms of where I am and the team I'm in, who I am and who we are is foundational to our success, to our energy, to our ability to make a difference to other people, that this essence of us is so key to everything that we're hoping we can achieve in the world or hoping we can be. And when we understand the essence of ourselves, then we really tap into something quite powerful because it can do all of that for us. So that's been a guiding principle for me that's helped me make decisions throughout my career. It's absolutely central to what I do as a stylist as well.
I love that. And I've been really on this word fest because essence is something that we all think we know. But I'd
Mm,
really like to
true.
know what you know about it and how you can share some insight. Is that our essence and is that what is that exactly? What is that? How do we tap into
Oh, I
that?
love that. Yeah, I love that. So I love that because it's what I call a bucket word. So it's got so many things that can fit into that concept. And you're right, it will mean different things to different people as a result. And essence to me is what are the things that are driving us? What are we motivated to achieve? And who are we in our personality, our basic traits? And I think if we boil it down to that, that's quite simple but workable. It's those two things are always at play. What drives you, what motivates you, and your personality traits. And Yeah, I think those things I have initially, I'll admit in my career, I was very keen not to be boxed in by profiling tools. I thought they were probably uh, just defining me as someone who I knew I wasn't. They were really just showing such a shallow lens compared to the depth and the 3D person and 4D people that we are. And so I really resisted them. And it wasn't until I was leading a team and the whole division did the disc. It was the first profiling tool I did. And then I saw the power of the conversations that we had. So I had to do it because everyone was doing it. But it was the power of the conversations that it was a starting point for us to start talking about differences, to start talking about what do I uniquely bring? And what do you uniquely bring, and how can we work with that together as a team to get a better result? And that's where I started seeing the value of it. And I think now I've done close to 20 different profiling tools, and I see them in that light, that they just give you a lens, they give you information, something useful, and if you get something useful out of it, that's great. So it's been really nice to throw that box out.
I
Not be
love that. I
defined.
love that. Yeah, that reframe is really helpful because I was the same way. I really didn't like that, but the reframe you just shared, where I could see you working with your teams and then actually how can you bring that uniqueness
Yes.
and discovering that, because that is really ultimately what it is, and our
Mm,
uniqueness is what differentiates us. So that's lovely. Thank
mm.
you for that reframe. That definitely was like a little nugget there. Okay,
Love it.
I I was going to just stay on this train for a little bit, but I have my questions and I've sent them to you, and I try to stay on it, but there's so many. It's like I want to pour into this,
We can stay as long as you
and
like.
because you said in your bio that you're the most stylish person. Clearly, you are. I remember being in high school, I would have a certain style, but I don't think I would be stylish, right? I was just, there was certain things I was practicing with and trying to play to find my own style. What
Yes.
has been your pivotal shift or experience or turning point that brought you to this, outside of, well, someone found you had style, but was there
Yes.
a time where you found your own style, and can you share that story?
Dialed in. My story is so similar to yours, actually. I think if you rewind to the time when I was 15 or even 20, or even I look at photographs of myself as 25, and I think I did not know my style then. I had not landed it. And I remember wearing those pieces and I liked this about it and I liked that about it, but I hadn't got that sense every day that I feel amazing in this. This feels aligned to me. It's flattering and I'm really happy to turn up in it. I just hadn't reached that. But what pressed the point for me, because like you, I was experimenting and trying, and I spent tens of thousands of dollars, I know, on wasted purchases. And I know because one time we moved house and it was in my early 20s, I was still living with my parents. I put into two boxes clothes that I didn't mind not making it to the next house, and clothes that I really wanted to ensure did make it to the next house. And they were about equal in size. That shocked me initially. And then I looked in this B box, the box where I didn't really care, and I realized there's thousands of dollars of my money that I have spent on clothes that I really have barely worn. So it that was a precipitating moment, but really I got very clear when I wanted to rise through the ranks and improve my career and get the next level of job, get a job as a director after having already been leading a team. And I went for a role and I wasn't successful in it. I knew I was qualified, but also not, um, probably the obvious choice. So I started thinking, what am I doing? How can I turn up? Is there something else I could be doing? And I looked at leadership strategies, I looked at communication style, and I looked at my own personal style. And it just precipitated me thinking, I want to be able to turn up every day and feel fantastic. And I also wanted to not be making decisions in the morning that took 10, 15 minutes to decide what to wear because I couldn't quite pull together an outfit that I was happy with. So I was like, I'm too busy. I'm already too busy for this. I just want to get this landed. And and the first thing I did was set myself a standard and say, I'm not letting into this wardrobe anything that doesn't feel fantastic. I have to love it and it has to look amazing on me. And then I really weeded down and whittled out a whole lot of things and just started working with my core pieces that felt fantastic. And I think that was a great personal shift because I found that a lot actually as a leader and on that journey to success, that when we set ourselves a standard and we say, I am just not accepting anything under that bar, that is not okay for me. I will not go there. It is not allowed. Then positive things happen. You just start thinking differently. You precipitate a different way of doing things. You move on and you move up because there is no way that that's going to happen again. And so that's what I did, set that standard, and then I really started thinking about things more, dialed things in. I didn't realize I was developing strategies that I could then use with, that other people would also find helpful. For myself, it was really just, I want every day to be able to get dressed quickly and feel fantastic in it and know that I look like this person who I know I can be, who I know I am. I'm competent in that role and I can absolutely do it. Let me not let that get in the way of me being seen in that light. So that was my journey. That's what made it happen. I don't know if that gives you
Mhm.
tools, because then there's tools, then we can start talking about
This
what are the
is
practical things
so
to think
helpful,
about.
Nina. No, I just have to reflect for a moment because what I heard is that you made a decision and that
Mm,
was it. You're going to be unreasonable with your standard. So you drew the
love
line in
it.
the sand. And I get
Yes.
that because when we do keep hanging on to stuff, I won't look over there. It's easy to go back to that default because
Yes.
you're not thinking it through. But I heard you say, I wanted to love it. I I wanted to make sure it was reflecting who I know I am at the core, so you know your essence, and that physical, our wardrobe, our however our style is, whether it's the hair. I get hung up on my hair a lot. That's why I'll put a wig on. If I get gray, I'm like, that's it, I'm putting a wig on. And then it changes my persona. It's like, well, I need to get out of my sweatshirt and put this on because if I, that kind of thing. But it's still hodgepodge. It's still kind of piecemealed together. And I love how you described that piece and your own personal journey because what it reminded me of is it's leading yourself first. And that's what I'm
Yes, it
saying. And you just
so
decided,
is.
yeah, this is who I am. This is what I will tolerate and not tolerate. Not in a harsh way. Clearly, you
Yeah.
you didn't put this harsh energy out there, but that's really helpful. And that actually, that snapshot can actually go into any area, whether it's your weight, whether
Mm,
what you're eating. It's like, no, I don't want, or how your family is in the morning. Like, I'm always looking for my keys. Well, draw a line. This is the standard. The keys go and they are hung up, and that solves that problem, whatever. And I love
yeah.
that when we have actual, very tangible, very doable,
Mm,
small actions that can make huge shifts for us.
huge
So
shifts.
you said tools. I definitely want to get onto that. But what do you think is for you been the most significant breakthrough moment as a leader now that you have your style and that you're showing up? What was that breakthrough moment that you knew, okay, this is that piece? Again, besides that you said, hey, Nina's awesome in her style. Let's bring her in to talk. But there's got to be some more. I want to hear more on that story.
And I think that was a key moment. So what I don't share publicly about that was that, um, but but this is a forum, this is a brilliant forum to talk about it, is that it's the joy of transformation that we all get to create in our roles. As leaders, you see people transform, you mentor them, you get to see them see things shift, you achieve outcomes, you get delighted by those outcomes. Um, yeah, you and that was what happened in that workshop, was that people were delighted by their transformation. I think I was surprised by just how powerful that was, how big the smiles were, how many people were thrilled with themselves and felt fantastic about themselves. And this is what successful women, because I mainly work with women, tell me about style, is that, and they're usually on the other side of their styling journey when they say this, that it is more important than people realize. And they're almost saying it to me like, people need to know, like you need to tell them, and there's kind of an element of confiding as well. Like, this is a kind of a hidden door almost. Like, why don't people know? And 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 I didn't realize myself, but now I know. So I've always wondered what's this kind of confiding aspect of it that seems to be part of how they tell me. And I think this is it, is just that they feel like it should be more known. And I think what it is that what's powerful is that style is not only sending a message, it's also speaking back to us. So I actually see it now as self-care. I see it as literally, this is how I'm looking after my self image as much as my public and brand image. Is I'm constantly reinforcing for myself, I'm worth it. I'm I was just worth that little bit of effort, to align with myself, and dang, I look good, and that feels fantastic to be able to see colors that delight you, or see the shapes and go, yeah, that's my body looking as good as it can, and just to feel aligned with the patterns and the styles that you wear. So I literally see it as self-care, and I think it's because those, I maybe those conversations with women have helped me frame it that way.
I'm going to agree 100%. And I think, I was talking to someone a couple of weeks ago about self-care and doing a speech on it. And I said, self-care is not polishing yourself. There's a
Yeah.
deeper piece to it. But, because self-care, I'm going to go get a massage and I'm going to get my nails done. That's self-care. But this, I do get what you're saying with regards to that. And I love when you use the word delighted. They were just delighted with themselves and in themselves. And what does that do to the entire team? And as a leader, definitely seeing that and bringing something in there. Talk about resilience, because I do performance and resilience, right? Definitely
Mm.
not on the wardrobe piece or on that, but I do know, like I have been trained in feng shui, so I know their office space actually has such a significant impact. And if I just
Mm.
did like one thing on their office space, we could change their whole performance resilience because there's a drain there. But
Right.
if we look at this holistic perspective, yeah, it is when you
Mm.
do style, because I know you do clothing, but are you also
Mm.
doing the hair and the accessories and all of that as well? That's part of that style?
It's Yeah, colors extend to
Colors. Okay.
makeup. So I give advice on makeup.
Mhm.
Then accessories, absolutely key. Also part of that alignment with brand image and self-image.
Mhm.
And shoes, accessories. Hair, we get to what face shape that person has and what hairstyles look amazing on them. So it's the foundation for a complete makeover. And then I advise people to find their best local hairdresser, which is a challenge sometimes, but but yeah, it's all of those pieces.
I think that it would save so much, like you were saying, in the shopping. And when you were talking about how the ladies feel like it's a little bit like, under the radar, we can't talk that
Yeah.
we've had this massive transformation. I think it's because there is so much commercialism, buy the next trend, and
Oh,
you
so
mentioned that
true.
you don't, it's like, okay, what's the next and what's the next? And when you do find your own style, I bet it's not about finding the next trend, it's finding what is your own
Mm.
essence. So the shopping, immediately I'd rather go and spend, $500 on a beautiful tailored suit
Mm.
that I enjoy and love, rather than 10 new pieces or whatever. I don't know what the budget is. I don't shop that much, but I can imagine. I was talking to another gal in our peer group, and she will tailor make your suit or whatever you want to make. But I hadn't even a clue on what I'd want her to make.
Mm.
And that's where I thought, oh, I've got to talk to Nina and see
Yeah.
what it is.
How do you
Because
get to that clarity? Yeah.
yes, exactly, the
Mm.
clarity. And that's what it is. And you
Mm.
can actually have clarity around your style and not be
Mm.
boxed in, but to know that you just
Mm.
feel so good in, let's say, a tailored suit versus boho cut jeans. You know, that's the latest trend in
Yes.
some areas. And even though maybe people aren't going into the workplace and being dressed in nice suits, well, that doesn't mean if you like a nice suit and a nice tailored lovely suit that's colorful or whatever, that you can't do that. You don't have to go in because
Yeah.
everybody else is in jeans and whatever those, skinny jeans and cut jeans or
Ripped jeans and
ripped jeans
yeah.
and all like that. I'm like as my son says, he says, I'm not paying you $75 for jeans that look like they were whatever. And it's like, but that's the
Like they
style. That's what I'm
dragged
paying for.
off
And
the
that's
back of a truck.
right? Exactly. But that's where it's so important to know your own style and
Mm.
I
It
love
really
that. Yeah.
You're so right. That's so true.
What do you consider would be the way to sustain this? So let's say, for example, we've worked with you,
Mm.
we now have a baseline style, and you've given us that confidence by working with you. And so it's like transmuted into us, and now we're these confident style. How do we maintain that? How do we sustain that? How does that, right? Because over time, like, what's the journey there?
Yes, I love that. So I think there's two key parts to that. And one is having the knowledge, so having that clarity about how do we arrive at that style. And there's three essential elements to it, which I'll go into in a sec. But it's also then I think you're continuing to keep it on rotation. So as the seasons change, I use that as a trigger to review my collection and decide what's still serving me and what is no longer serving me. And then you identify gaps there, and I just pop them onto my shopping list. And then next time I'm at the shops or have the opportunity, I know what I'm looking for and I can be more targeted, which I personally love. I do love trawling through the shops and just getting inspiration and seeing what's around. And I get opportunity to do that. But for my own shopping, I really like to just know exactly what I'm looking for, go in, find that and not be distracted. And yeah, that process, that annual cycle of change them out, have a look, what's still serving you, plus then the ongoing um, collection that you build. So one of the things I advise my clients is to have their looks on their phone, and we build that together. It's quite easy to take a photograph, build an album, there's your looks and their complete looks. And it just means that you're not re-litigating in your mind, does this work? Does it not? Does this go with that? And having to prove to yourself or think it through. So and I think this really came from me wanting to cut out that 10-15 minutes putting an outfit together. I just thought it has to be easier. And the easiest way I found, and my clients love it, is just to have your photographs on your phone and be able to literally each day think, what's the weather? What am I doing? And what have I got available? And choose a complete look from those outfits. And together, those three things, knowing your style, having an annual rhythm, and then having a collection that reminds you of your looks, um, yeah, is quite powerful. So and those three things are in different aspects and more important to different people. But you talked about the difference between tailored pieces, structured, more formal pieces, and jeans, for example. and that boho look. And that comes down to someone's style persona at the most basic level. And that's the connection between your personality and your style. And we can individualize that a lot more. But that basic connection of which of the 12 style personas are you helps to know, are trends really part of my look? Or am I more a classic, timeless, um, you know, ongoing, I want things that will last for 5 years type person. And the different style personas are drawn differently to to tailored and classic and sophisticated looks versus on trend, creative, yeah, ideas. So that style persona is really key. And then of course there's colors and body shape. And with your colors, you want to know your perfect colors. That's powerful information for when you want to turn up in a high stakes moment. And for me, every day I want to feel fantastic. So I'm always wearing my colors. I've just refined them over a period of time. And but not everyone wants to do that or has the energy or the time. But if you work with me, you make it, we make it super easy. So you don't have to think about it. And then of course there's the body shape piece, which is how can your figure be flattered tastefully in the shapes and silhouettes that will work for your particular body shape. And there's 5 key body shapes. So we want to align the choice of shapes, silhouettes, proportions to your figure so that you get that best effect.
I love it. It seems like that's something that we should do as self-care, no question, but then also to work with someone like yourself that can guide us in that way.
Yeah.
So that's lovely. I'm going to ask this question. Is there anything
I love it.
blanket wise for all of us, whether our body
Yeah.
style or any of that, we can just move that aside. Is there
Mm.
something in our closet that should absolutely not be in your closet for anyone? And yeah,
Yes. Okay, so anyone, let's say, because my styling advice always comes back to who is she, where is she, what's she doing in her life,
Mm,
um, her stories associated with clothes are important to her. So I'm the opposite of the extreme makeover queen. I'm kind of the respectful, collaborative kind of let's connect your style with your purpose. And so it might sound like a cheat, but I would say things that you are holding for the reasons of guilt or guilt is probably the one that I think is the most destructive. So people will have things in their closet that they are holding on to because their sister-in-law gave it to them, or so and so. And if you want to keep it, put it under the bed or put it away, put it out of sight, but don't make yourself wear those things just when you often they know that they're not right. This doesn't suit me, but so and so gave it to me and I have to be seen to be wearing it. Like, that is a complete disregard for who you are, and it's just reinforcing putting yourself
yeah,
aside.
and I think in fact, it shows deeper, there's deeper work. Just like, you
Yeah.
probably get in there working with someone and you're like, yeah, there's some deeper work here. There's some other pieces.
And
It's
who
not just
doesn't have that?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And that's the truth. We all have that. And we should just call it
Mm.
and just say that right now. We all have that. And we should welcome that when that comes in. I will tell
Mm.
you, I was not expecting you to say what you said. It was like, well, sweats. Nobody should have sweats. Nobody should wear their yoga pants outside of the yoga studio. Come on now. Like, but I still will wear I had gone through a phase of tie-dye yoga pants because I owned
Mm.
a yoga studio
Oh, fun.
and so I lived in that. But I remember a gentleman telling, he was a peer friend of mine, and he just said, uh, don't you have enough self-respect to, you're done with yoga. And
Yeah.
he wasn't saying it in a mean way because he was just like, Can't you?
Yeah.
And I adore him for saying that. It took me a while to actually process that comment
Yeah.
because I
Yes.
never connected how I was showing up with my clothes to how people were seeing and how it was impacting everything. And I don't know
Mm,
why there is that disconnect. I know for
mm,
some it's like this is a no-brainer. I'm investing my time and my energy and my money and I'm going to find the best person to help me. But it's
yeah.
like whatever. I don't want to be
Yeah.
that way anymore. And I know to lead stronger, longer, any of us who want to step into a higher place have to look at these pieces. Um,
Yes.
and it does come down to even that essence. I know there's parts of me that do want to hide. I have a theater background, so it was so easy for
Thank
me to go
you.
into the characters because it escaped my own pain, the
Mm,
life I didn't want to
yes.
confront, right? So I could go
Yes.
and be this character or put on this. And so as you evolve and get a little wiser and start telling the truth to yourself, which is everything that I'm trying to teach to leaders so that they're
Love.
leading from an authentic place as opposed to these fraud things we put out, that it's now going to come to you showing up with just this
Yes.
softness, this delightfulness of being in your skin. And I love how, ooh, I just, there's so much to it. I know I'm going through my own evolution process of life. And when you said connect your style with your purpose, that
Mm,
totally resonates. And I love that you have the structure as well. Folks definitely need to check you out, and I'll start wrapping it up. But I always ask for your bookshelf of wisdom because I'm a book fan, trying to get down on my books, but I still ask, what's your one or three books that have profoundly impacted you?
oh, so great question. Love that. Not that long ago, I read Atomic Habits. I was late to the party with that one. What a powerful book. I think and I've studied psychology and I at uni, and I think he has distilled and explained and made relevant the core aspects of behavioral psychology so beautifully. So I recommend that often. Then the positive psychology book, why is his name not coming to mind? Learned Optimism, sorry, by Martin Seligman, totally changed and gave me tools, changed my mind and gave me tools around the language that we use to frame our lives and just how powerful that can be for our outcomes, for success, for the way we think about ourselves, for the way people respond to us. Like, just incredible and so robust and beautifully written. A really lovely read, really surprisingly lovely read. And then what I'm enjoying reading at the moment is Black Swan. And I think his name is Nassim Taleb. And he's talking about how we don't value the unknown enough. And we actually need to be essentially doing more experiments to discover, to get information and find out what we don't know. And I think as I've been watching the future of work evolve and AI happens so quickly, and we're going to have more and more fast changes like that. I think our readiness, our resilience, you use that amazing concept. Um, our resilience is going to be so much around how we adapt and respond and are cleverly able um, to pick, what the next thing should be in our own personal strategies, our business strategies, etc. So yeah, so that's me. And they might be more management consultant inspired than stylist inspired. Um, but what I would say on the styling side is don't read magazines. People who read magazines, their percentage is something like 91% of them think cruel thoughts about their bodies. So don't do that. I'll just go out there and say that it's a really high percentage. So I can find it for you so you can add it to the show notes.
That's incredible. And I
Mm,
remember as a teen, I had my subscription and my stacks of Glamour and 17
mm,
Vogue and all of that. And boy, isn't that the truth?
mm.
Trying so hard to match that
Yeah.
gorgeous cover. Yeah, wow. I've never heard that before.
Mm.
That's that wow. I think that every mom, which again, I think every leader
Mm.
as a mother, father first, we are leading the next generation, we're leading these children. I wish someone had told me that. So Stefana,
Yeah.
you don't need a magazine to any of
Yes.
that, but I did. And so now I didn't have girls, I have boys. And
Oh, wow.
I learned
Yeah.
on that, but wow, that's the first time I've ever heard of that. That's going to give me permission. I'm never going to look at another magazine. Because
Yeah.
there's some like, oh, I should keep up. I should look at the trends. I should find, okay, right? No,
Mm.
that's awesome. Don't read the magazines. Right. It goes back to purpose, right? Connect
It
with your
does.
style with your purpose, not what their
Absolutely.
purpose is. And what is
That's
their
right.
purpose? Yeah, that's really something to think about. And then I love what you said about Black Swan. That is
Mm.
so true. That's so important that we are, as we evolve and as we move through these things. This is
Yeah.
an interesting time, but I love, I mean, everything you've said today, honestly, is timeless wisdom. And it
Thank
speaks to the
you.
heart. Yes, it speaks to a place that's very nourishing and not making you wrong for showing up because you're in, whatever. It's just like, no, you have something within you, and that essence is what
Yeah.
wants to communicate and wants to speak up and wants to show up. And let's enhance that. That's awesome.
That's it.
I love it.
That's exactly it. Thank you, Stefano.
Yes. How can our listeners connect with you? How can they follow you? How do they work with you? Tell us the scoop
Oh, I
there.
love that. They can find me on LinkedIn. I have two LinkedIn profiles, which is confusing because management consulting and styling are quite different audiences. So find my styling profile or find me at stylegorgeous.com. And if they're curious about their style persona as your audience, they can take the quiz with the code lead stronger, I believe is the code. So I'll give you that code so you can have that in your show notes. But that way they can access it as a gift. And yeah, that would be a great place to start.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, it's clear that style is not just about looking good, it's about feeling
Yeah.
amazing and delighted with yourself. And
Mm,
as a result, showing up as the best version of yourself. And I think that
yeah.
there's no better way than that. You're fully aligned with your essence. I love all of that. And then your ambition and what's really driving you and your purpose can take root. And then as a result, make the impact that you're here to make. So I love that. Nina Fountain, thank you
Beautiful.
so much for your fresh
Such a
perspective.
pleasure.
What's that?
Thank you for having me. It's a beautiful
Oh,
conversation. Yeah, really
yes.
love to be able to talk about it.
Thank you so much. All right, folks, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to step up their game and lead stronger, longer with a delightful style. See you next time.